Hello and welcome to the Big Data Debrief, a new video series where Big Data Wire editors interview CEOs and other top leaders in the big data analytics and AI space. Today, I'm happy to introduce Maggie Laird, the CEO of Pentaho, a provider of data intelligence solutions for the enterprise. Maggie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alex. It is great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, Maggie, maybe you could kick things off a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you arrived at Pentaho.
All right, love to. All right, so I think I would characterize myself as a general business practitioner. I studied economics, I got an MBA, I cut my teeth in the business world in consulting. So I helped companies grow strategies, business model changes, which actually led me to Hitachi. So Hitachi Limited Group has been on an evolving change in their business model, becoming more digital, offering digital products to their customers. So I joined Hitachi about 6 years ago and have been working to drive out many of those strategies internally within the business. About 18 months ago, as we were seeing Gen AI really pop onto the stage, looking at the various assets that we had inside of Hitachi, there was a recognition that this was a real moment for data management, and especially for Pentaho. So I took over this business about 18 months ago and have really been driving the focus back into its core around software, data management, data intelligence, and it's been an absolute pleasure to get us oriented toward that North Star, kind of back to basics, if you will, and focused on our customers and driving their data challenges in this very exciting time of AI.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been almost 10 years since Hitachi bought Pentaho. I know I was covering that back at Datanami back during the height of Hadoop. I know that the company is a separate entity from Hitachi-Vantara, but what are the advantages of being a subsidiary of such a big company?
There's quite a lot. I would say, being a, a startup inside of a very large backed, highly reliable company that's known for, again, trust and mission critical and all those things of Hitachi. And then also having the benefit of being very close to our data storage business and understanding those workloads and that environment, I think has given us a bigger perspective on data, right? When the Pentaho was first acquired, to your point, 10 years ago, we had a very more horizontal focus of the market. Coming into Hitachi, understanding really this intersection of IT, OT, and product has allowed Pentaho and the software side of the business to understand edge analytics, sensor-based technology, really expand our view around what it's going to take to kind of generate the value for the future of these new use cases that are coming online. So you think about that piece of it, and then in parallel, learning more about all of these industrial use cases, swimming up the data chain. So Hitachi has made investments into software. We've bought a few other companies in the data governance space and brought those IP into the Pentaho platform. So if you think about data governance use cases and quality use cases, all of that IP now is sitting here within this group. And so just at the broadest level, being able to continue to invest in data management, the data value chain, and also understanding kind of the broad lens of how data can be used internally with operational data has been one of the biggest assets and learnings that the company has been able to understand and then bring into the core proposition for the software.
Okay, great. You mentioned Hitachi's hardware business and the storage business. Are there plans or are there current solutions available? I guess that kind of mix the Pentaho software and data management software together with that storage hardware.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we are very, very much part of the family, if you will. I think just for clarity, getting focused on core business model, right? So a software business model, hardware business model. But in the age of Gen AI, we absolutely see the synergies there. So, one of the most, I think, interesting parts of our platform that has been developed in conjunction with the hardware side is capabilities around data optimization. We call it the data storage optimizer, but it really allows the discovery of your data, whether it sits in a hardware box or it sits on the cloud, but being able to scan that entire data estate, understand the temperature of that data. So is it hot? Is it cold? Is it old? Has it been used once in 10 years? So being able to understand all of that and then make decisions and actually move that data based upon whether it needs to be active or not, move that data into colder storage, into archival places, and be smart around your total cost of ownership of the data. So that heritage and that understanding was really, developed as part of our deep partnership with storage, and we think that's a very exciting opportunity and proposition for our data storage customers, as well as any customer really that's got a growing data estate of structured and unstructured data. We know that data costs are kind of propelling out of control. So being able to be smart and efficient about that data is a challenge for today, as well as a challenge that will continue to be there as the data volumes grow.
Okay, great. In addition to next year being the 10th anniversary of the acquisition by Hitachi, this is the 20th birthday, the 20th year of Pentaho, right? Richard Daley founded it back in 2004, I believe, in Orlando. How do you see the overall market for BI and analytics tools changing since then?
Yeah.
And I
So
guess, what has stayed the same during that time too?
great question. So happy birthday, I guess, is in
Yeah.
order. So yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of the fundamentals of data have continued to exist over these 20 years. Certainly there are, big shifts when you think about cloud, when you think about Gen AI being on the stage, but really AI has been there this entire time. And I think the challenges and value proposition of what Pentaho has offered has also been pretty consistent. In fact, if we just stay on this theme, we've gone out. We had to do two things recently. One, which was double down on a brand, because we had several pieces of IP within this group, and really coming back to which brand represented us the most, and it was absolutely Pentaho in terms of just recognition, but also what it brings to our customers, which we believe and we've been kind of talking about is smart simplicity, right? So really, in this messy world of data, when data is chaotic and growing, how can you be smart, and how can you do it simply and in the most efficient way? So I think that through line is still there with us today, and we're bringing that forward even more as we go forward, because we know that this is only going to get harder. There's only going to be more kind of regulation coming at us, and so staying core to making it simple, being smart, is really one of those through lines that we're pulling through. I would say a second area that I see being consistent, and I hear it because our customers tell me, because I have not been here for 20 years, but it also is about just making the customer successful. I will say that the Pentaho platform, the Pentaho assets are highly flexible. They can do a lot of things, and so we get the opportunity to really be extended very wide and deep in customers' environments. And I'd like to say that we go above and beyond to make those things happen for our customers. So I think when you really get out and talk to the customers, we're in with them or deeply in with them. And I think coming back and letting them be the mirror of what we need to focus on moving forward. That's something that's been a very strong focus of mine, to kind of get back to that core, get back to those core challenges, and then being able to really extend from that position of strength, to where we take the roadmap.
Okay, great. As you mentioned, you were with Hitachi for a few years before you came into the job at Pentaho, and you kind of had a general business background. What was your perception, I guess, from within Hitachi of the Pentaho brand? What did you understand the company to be all about?
Yeah, so it's always been about big data, right? The big data was the promise. It's why Hitachi invested to bring this into the group. So the big data potential, right? I think using big data to solve big problems, right? So there has always been this big ambition, I think, to bring this in a pretty big way to make big change. So that potential, that ambition, I think, others inside of the company, have always seen that. So it was very exciting to me to be able to be at the forefront of shaping that journey, for the company at this moment in time, which I strongly believe Pentaho was made for this moment.
Okay.
But again, it's always been seen as such a big opportunity that, especially now, we have the opportunity to take advantage and really grow it.
Okay. As far, I guess, as how the strategy is shifting, originally the company, from what I can tell, it was focused on integration, data integration, and data analytics. It's kind of expanded out since then, right? More data management, data quality, governance. Is am I hearing that the company is kind of shifting towards data management and data governance, not so much on the analytics side?
So all of the above. So we're not losing anything. All right. So
Okay.
I think trying to think about it as our core competency, right? And how do we make sure the core is strong, and then how do we extend? So, the pieces that we are picking up, we're using the data intelligence and integration kind of platform positioning for us, because we have always played very squarely in the integration, right? We've got the analytics, and it has really been about completing the journey, right? Completing the data journey end to end in a platform. And so we've had all of these good capabilities that we've been developing, that we've been acquiring, and so stitching it together in a way that customers can use and get value from the end to end if they so choose, but also be very interoperable, to be fit into a wider estate of other applications. I think what we feel very strongly about is you have to play well with other vendors, even competing vendors, because you may specialize in one area and they may in another, and so that connectivity is super important. So making sure that we had, again, the completeness of the offer that can take a customer from the beginning of the data, discovery journey, through the integration, through the curation, through the governance, right, and ultimately the analytical, kind of output of all of that is absolutely where we're playing, with our customers today.
Okay, great. The Pentaho has accumulated some pretty big names over the years. I read on the website 73% of the Fortune 100, so that's a pretty big number. Customers like State of Arizona, Department of Water Resources, Marketo, CERN, Fannie Mae. What are these organizations getting with Pentaho that they can't get anywhere else?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, I'd like just to say thank you to all the customers out there. That is a very impressive statistic, and it's not one that we take lightly. So there has been a lot of customers that have been with us from the beginning. So just thank you. And then, why are they here, and why do they stay? It's a great question. It's one that I really wanted to understand as I came into the business. And what I've heard is a few things very consistently. So one, it's around scalability and flexibility. So being able to get installed quickly, to add value, and to quickly scale up or scale out has been, one of the reasons that customers stay with us. time to value has been just a real interesting one for me to explore with customers as well, because especially coming from a very services heavy background, I'm used to implementing technologies and implementing it over time, right? And doing all the planning and development to get those technologies really adopted in an organization. And one of my favorite stories, I think actually the state of Arizona talks about this publicly, but it was able to get that software installed in their environment with very light touch from the vendor side. I think it was one person providing a few hours of consultation over a couple of days, but really having the company be able to install, configure, adapt, and get running in a matter of days and weeks. That is what is required in today's high pressure and show me the ROI now world. So that time to value, I think, is really important, and it's something that we do quite well. And then the third reason I hear that we excel in, it's around kind of cost of ownership, right? So the total cost of ownership, when you think about all the data costs that are needing to be managed in the ecosystem, we've got the ability to be smart around how that data is used, and provide a platform that again can take those use cases and take those data management processes and execute them in a very cost efficient way from a licensing perspective.
Okay, great. You mentioned Gen AI earlier in this interview. What impact do you see generative AI having on Pentaho? Is this something that the company is building into its products, or is this something that the company is just helping your customers to prepare for using other tools?
Yeah, this is a big question, the Gen AI question, and I actually love it, right? Because it's at the macro level produced a burning platform, right, for core data management and data fundamentals, right? So thank you for bringing the moment to now, right? So that at the highest level, that's what's happening. So we're doing both, right? So we are absolutely there with our customers for the data challenges that they have right now as they're preparing their data for Gen AI. So that's just the kind of the bread and butter of what companies like us do. I think where we've really honed our offer in the last 18 months is making sure that the platform has data quality and trust scores in it, so that again we can understand the data that is in there, and if it's worthy of being pulled into those Gen AI workloads and models. So that was a really important thing that we wanted to do to be able to further add value on the customer's journey into Gen AI. Secondly, it's around the pipelines. So being able to allow customers to build those RAG pipelines within our platform to, again, get ready for that Gen AI to start getting the data out into the places where those workloads are going to run. And then third, actually bringing Gen AI into the platform as a feature for our customers. And that is one that we are working on. Again, we see the opportunity to have it impact the interface in terms of how our customers and our users are interacting with the software. So a bit more conversational, again, following the trend of data democratization, getting more users comfortable and familiar with data. And so how that they interact and the needs that more data citizens will have as they get access to data and data insights. We want to be able to make sure we don't leave those users out. And so that's a focus of what we're building out right now.
And you mentioned the users of Pentaho. Who are the primary users at this point? Is it the technical folks, the business and data analysts, or are you able to bring this down to, I guess, sales managers and get them to use it too?
Yeah, well, coming soon maybe. So I think traditional users, certainly when you think about data integration, the data engineers, the data scientists, absolutely. As we move into the governance use cases, right, that's becoming more your data citizen, right? You're curating available data so that data users can access that. So we tend to see a less technical user base in those roles, but being able to make the business decisions around the data. So, and then ultimately the analysts that have used the reports, have used the visualization. That certainly is a user base. And as we move forward into the data product area, I think that's where we see new users coming online as we can curate, a set of data that goes into those line of business or into these specific use cases. That again, our goal is to make that simple enough that yes, even a sales manager, if they so choose, can interact with that data to get the insights that they need.
Right, and that's the promise that generative AI and analytics and integration tools bring, right? Just to have that conversational interface as opposed to everybody learning SQL, which is never going to happen. Um, yeah, yeah. So you mentioned the importance of data quality. I keep writing about report after report saying how data quality is trending down, uh, and that's a big issue, obviously, for AI and large language models. Do you what do you attribute that to? Is that a failure of data quality and data management tools, or is something else going on?
That's Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think for me, it is the pressure that is being put on your data to have it be qualified and trusted. I don't think it's a failure. I just don't think all companies are ready for that, and that they have put their data to the test to be able to say yes, it is of quality, right? So right now we need the breadth of the data, and we need the depth of the data. And to be honest, you a lot of companies have been able to mask a lot of that complexity and a lot of that quality in several different ways. They can put humans in there, they can put other processes, but as machines are now consuming the data and needs a much more prescriptive way about knowing quality data, access, control, that's upping the game in terms of what needs to be programmed in, if you will, into the quality and the consumability of the data. So I think it's that's really raising the bar for that, as well as the transparency. Again, we want to know what information that is based on, and we also need to make sure that the right the right data is getting out in the right hands. So it's
Yeah.
just evolving, and I think customers are having to put a lot more focus here. One of the biggest reasons why or why some of these Gen AI projects aren't scaling. I was at a industry conference this week in Vegas, the TSIA, and we had several roundtable executives in the room, and we went around the room. We had picked 5 different reasons why AI is not scaling, and it was data, right? So data, we're all raising our hands. So it's quality, but it's also some of just foundational issues that have been there. It just hasn't, the burning platform for getting it precise and getting it right.
Mhm.
That's the now.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's why that's why Hitachi probably brought you in, right, and tried to focus more on data management in the first place, right? It's a big challenge, and I'm seeing that kind of across the board. Before before ChatGPT landed on all of us, I was writing a lot about data fabrics and data meshes, and you know, there's not a there's not a whole lot of print spilled on ink spilled on that anymore. Have they gone away? Is data fabric and data mesh, is this still a pertinent access pattern and architecture for Pentaho?
Yeah, so I think from our perspective, we're pretty flexible and handle both architectures. So we don't
Okay,
talk a lot about it, right? So
great.
internally within Hitachi-Vantara, actually, our corporate IT is a little more centralized and have more of a fabric motion. We support that. Yes. Our largest customers are in more of a mesh environment, and we support that. And I think one of the interesting things is we actually help customers transition from one to another through our integration platforms. And the just one more add on top of that, that the hybrid nature of this in terms of the on-prem and the cloud, as Pentaho plays very agnostically in terms of cloud as well as on-prem, we are just naturally able to accommodate those various patterns. So we don't talk a lot about it, but we absolutely are supporting our customers wherever they are.
Right. Yeah, I didn't mean to say that. It's an either or scenario. There is a lot of overlap between the two approaches, right?
That's right.
But
That's right.
but just in terms of the data management struggles, maybe people, the CTOs, CIOs, CDOs, maybe they'll start, looking at these approaches again to get on top of their data management problems.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's bringing the basics of what they thought they were going to do. So that the architectures are getting another look, right? Because now they're doubling down. Now we've got these more complex use cases. So it's giving IT another at bat to make sure that they're fit for the future, right? And I do think that's where we are seeing a lot of, again, as people are looking at their budgets, they're looking at how they've architected, and they're saying, have we done the right thing, and are we set up for the future?
Right. Now, I wanted to acknowledge the elephant in the room here, which is unstructured data. Right. That's what most AI is running on. Managing it's a big problem. Is Pentaho going to look at managing unstructured data? Is that at all in your bailiwick?
Yeah. So, I mean, the good news that it is in the Whip and it is deployed. It's actually, part of what we do, right? So we see the unstructured data, via acquisition and development. We've been able to handle that data source for a while now. So, if customers aren't aware, that is very much in the platform today. And again, that is the data that's causing everyone to take a second look, right? That's the mess that folks are finding themselves in terms of extracting the value out of it, managing the PII that sits in there, right? This is the now moment for unstructured data, and we are happy that we are right in there and ready to go with capabilities that support that.
Okay, great. Can't wait to hear more about it. But in the meantime, your website says, I went on your website. It said, "Get a grip on your data." What what does the company mean by that?
Yeah, so may have just been me, but coming into the business, I've went to a few trade shows, and would walk into these vendor halls and just find myself confused, right, at all of the offerings and all of the just noise at data, right? So I think one of the things I wanted to do is bring just some clarity into what is it and what do we do. So we've been orienting ourselves around data fitness. Okay, so getting companies fit for the moment that we're in. And so we have an assessment. We're bringing it into the way we talk about speed, efficiency, agility, all pillars of data fitness that you can turn the mirror on yourself and say, are we data fit as a company, and are we ready to embark on the journey? So just again, simplifying what we mean and having a way to take customers that may not be as evolved, or even if they are evolved, being able a way to talk about evolving their capabilities on their journey. So with that, we're getting the survival of the data fitness and a lot of just fun, simple ways to bring data into the vernacular to make it simple, and we hope to make it very accessible, to everybody in the company.
Okay, great. Last question. What do you see as the biggest opportunities in big data, analytics, and AI over the next 10 years? Where
Yeah.
where are
So
you steering the ship towards?
Yeah, 10 years, man. I mean, who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows where this thing is going, right? But I feel like we've had a lot of foreshadowing, right? Like we are seeing potential right now. So some of the exciting potential that I want to make sure we're ready for. So we talked a little bit about the data democratization and getting the entire organization able to be literate enough and access and have data to make decisions, right? So purely, focused on the interface, on the usability, and making every employee empowered with data. So that is absolutely front and center. I think secondly, being ready for the agents of the AI agents of the world, our digital counterparts to come with us. And so, when we think about what we've architected and coded the product to do for users to look and see, well, it's also has to be able to do that for the upcoming agent workforce. So, right, these are not very hard shifts, but they're tweaks, right? So we need to kind of tweak it for that labor force that is, kind of standing itself up at this point in time. So those are, kind of two that we know. And I think the third one too is around just regulation, right? And that it's coming and it's been there. And actually it's a core part of our customer base, our customers in highly regulated industries. So we already know and feel that pain, right? And we've developed capabilities around that. But we see the AI regulation that's going to be coming down at us, and being able to keep up with that to deliver on our promise of being, having the right capabilities for our customers that have these heavy requirements to be able to continue to operate, and be compliant as really that, area of that's gonna, we're gonna orient ourselves around, but it's gonna continue to change, and really drive out, importance in the future.
Yeah, it's tough to forecast 10 years in the future, but I think it's safe to say it's going to look a lot different than it is today, and it's going to be exciting, on the journey to that point. But I want to thank you for coming on the Big Data Debrief today, Maggie. It was a pleasure to have you on here, and best of luck to you.
Great, thank you so much.